European Union do not want countries leaving easily.
Hello, James, and thanks for joining Dukascopy TV today. So we're going to talk a little bit about Brexit and the effects it's having and what we expect to see in the coming months and years. But do you think that the Scottish Parliament will veto the decision to leave the EU? And overall, do you think it's possible that the UK Parliament as a whole will prevent Britain from leaving the EU?
I think the SNP and especially Nicola Sturgeon have been so vocal on this. And I think they seem to be doing everything in their power to block it, but I think ultimately it'll be without any luck. I think Sturgeon's always heavily criticised Brexit every step of the way, and we know that I believe she's doing this it's another stepping stone, another platform to initiate another Scottish referendum to leave the UK and join Europe. I mean, I think, unfortunately, the vote has been passed anyways. It's quite it's symbolic, and I think it's not going to happen, but I think there is a possibility of she using it to have another referendum to remain part of the EU. It's going to be difficult. I mean, in the UK sort of terms, Parliament have to still, vote on the bill. So to leave the European Union. So, I mean, for us, I think it's going to be difficult. They do have the final say, but the MPs, remember, they're entitled to vote in Britain's best interest. So if they believe that it's still not in Britain's best interest, even though we've had our referendum, they will potentially, try and block it in Parliament. I think it's up in the air, but there is definitely these possibilities in these two scenarios that one of the two can happen, if not both. But I believe, in my opinion, is that I think it will become close, but I think both of them will end up being washed away, in my opinion, anyway.
So if this doesn't happen and the Parliament doesn't prevent the UK from exiting the EU, what are some other possible scenarios we might see?
Yeah, I mean, I thought long and hard over this one. I mean, because I did an interview recently with you guys, and I had to speak about this, and it was only till recently people really knew what the ramifications of voting out, because it was very sort of, it was a massive grey area. So I mean, look, we can have a sweetened deal to leave the EU, whether that is. Freedom of movement is we're the only countries that allow, maybe have a similar deal to maybe Norway and Canada in that sweetened deal, a clean break, so maybe lose our passporting capabilities, so losing all our power to sell products or to raise funds in the EU, a messy divorce, so the talks potentially go wrong, Britain loses all access to the single market, becomes maybe a tax haven with less regulation, and tries to undercut the EU market. So again, it could be in long term good for Britain, but short term will have messy consequences in my eyes. A friendly solution, so Britain remains part of the single market, but on adjusted terms. Again, similar to a deal that Norway and Canada have. I mean, okay, or the last one, everyone changes their mind, and the two scenarios we spoke about a minute ago, one of them happens, and we change our mind and we remain part of the EU, and come 1919 we're still there. I mean, those are the scenarios in my eyes. I think it's gone too far already. I think it's going to probably be a little bit messy, but I think in the end it will gradually work out.
So moving away from Britain and looking at the rest of the EU, do you expect other countries to be holding similar referendums?
I mean, I was vocal on this because I think I used Britain as a catalyst to, kickstart other countries to think about holding this. But I mean, look at Holland and France now. They're holding these elections in the next few months. And we've already got Geert Wilders on the Freedom Party coming into the mix. We have Marine Le Pen, and it's basically her words the other day were, look at Britain, they're doing fine. Let's follow them out of the EU. Now, I think, again, it seems highly unlikely we see referendums in Europe and that we will see other countries, because there's still a lot of uncertainty surrounding it. But again, when there's countries as big as France, which is ultimately the third biggest in the Eurozone, it seems that this could then, although Britain is already the starting block for it, we could see France, do the next turn, and Holland, and then it's very difficult to see who's going to come next and what is the next plan. Is there going to be a full Euro breakup? It's difficult, but there is it seems highly unlikely, but there is that distinct chance and small chance that it could happen, and they could hold similar referendums.
So you mentioned this potential for similar referendums. Do you think, given the chances of that the EU might make it quite difficult for the UK during this process of Brexit?
Yeah, I mean, because if the EU showed their hand and Britain was given, a very lucrative, sweetened deal, I mean, you just have to think, well, if they got that deal, if the UK got that deal, we can get something similar. And I think the EU are going to make it painful for any country that wants to leave, because the EU Parliament, they don't want this to happen. The European Union do not want countries leaving easily. They do not want it to be an easy process. Okay, well, as Britain's done it, look how easy and better they're off. We'll do it too. They do not want that. So that is why I think Juncker is very vocal all the time and saying that Theresa May is not going to get the deal that she expects. And I believe they are going to make it and make an example of Britain to make sure that other countries that are thinking about doing it, will have second thoughts. And that's exactly how I feel it's going to happen. I don't see any other scenario telling me that there's going to be an easy way out of this. Hence my going back to this other possible scenarios. It's going to be a messy divorce. I think we won't lose complete access, but it's not going to be made easy whatsoever.
James, thank you so much for speaking with Dukascopy TV. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
And thank you for watching. And remember, for more interviews like this, head over to dukascopy.tv.